Hello, welcome to a new episode of Motorthoughts. I'm James Drujon, and today we're going to be reviewing the 2016 Seat Ibiza Cupra 1.8 TSI. Brand new in 2016, this would have cost about £18,900. Now these are worth anywhere up to £10,000 on the second-hand market. Compared to its rivals, the more premium version, the Polo GTI, which shares the same engine as this, was about £21,000 brand new. Second-hand, they're now worth anywhere up to £14,000. And the Fiesta ST was worth about £18,000 brand new, and it's now worth about the same as the Ibiza second-hand. All in all, the Ibiza's depreciated the most. There isn't a lot in it, so I wouldn't let that put you off buying it as a second-hand car now. That isn't good news if you bought this brand new, like 5 years ago, or if you bought it second-hand a few years ago, like my friend who very kindly lent me this car for the day has. Now, the styling. In general, this generation of Ibiza, it looks pretty stylish, it looks sleek, they look good, and you could say this Cupra doesn't look that much different from the normal Ibiza, but you do get a little Cupra badge at the front here, as well as 4 little slots under the front grille, and it does say Cupra on the back. So people who don't know, they just think you've got a normal Seat, but people who do know, they know you've got a Cupra, so that's all good. It even has a central exhaust at the back. The 2 pipes have a nice funnel around it that looks quite neat and stylish. It does come with 17-inch alloy wheels, and they look pretty cool. And this comes in chili red, which looks really good, and I think the red and black especially look really good and suit this hot hatch really well. It looks hot, but not too hot. It's like a medium to hot if we're going on the Nando's chili spectrum, whatever. That's enough rambling. Let's go for a drive. Let's see what it's like on the road. So it's got 146 mile an hour claimed top speed, and it does 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds. So it's a quick car. It's got 2 driving modes, normal and sport. Normal's what you use for your day-to-day, going to the shops, driving around town. So it's got progressive steering as well. At lower speed, it's a lot lighter, but as you speed up, even in normal mode, there's a lot more weight to the wheel. I'm still unconvinced with progressive steering. I don't know, I just think there's a slight vagueness in general with cars with progressive steering. It's just at lower speeds, the speeds you're going to be driving at typically, to have a softer, easier to turn steering wheel, it's not necessarily what you want. Like there, it felt like there's quite a bit of vagueness. But let's try the sport mode. Ooh. The sport mode, it stiffens up the suspension, it stiffens up the steering and quickens the response, and it sharpens the throttle response. It shares the same engine with the Polo GTI. It's 1.8 TSI engine, and it's turbocharged. You can't really hear the turbocharger. There is a bit of a whoosh, but there's no real sound from the wastegate or anything. You can't hear that. There's no psh when you lift off, which is a bit frustrating. If you were to do an aftermarket remap, I'm sure you could do that and put a new exhaust on it, and it would make all sorts of pops and bangs. It doesn't make any pops and bangs. Has 189 horsepower at 4,500 revs, so the peak power isn't at the top, but the power doesn't drop off past 4,500. That's just the peak power output. It has 236 pound-feet of torque at 1,400 revs, so the torque's all at the lower end, and that's really good for on the motorway because this has a 6-speed manual gearbox. DSG flappy paddle automatic is also available. With all that torque flow down on the motorway for economy driving, you can really use the gears. You can really use the gears and get some good fuel efficiency from the car. It's definitely a lot bumpier in sports mode. It does corner really flat though, and I've driven this car a few times. My confidence hasn't really been tested, I feel, like with speed. I don't know, I still feel pretty happy and confident with this car. And the brakes are really good, I have to say. That was some good stopping power there. I'm impressed. It's quite a spongy brake pedal. I feel like I'd get more response from the pedal itself from my GTI. But I wouldn't knock that. I just feel it's something, I don't know, with an older car, there's a bit more, you get a bit more feedback. Yeah, it does sound really, really good, I have to say. Oh shit. Oh. And there was a bit of torque steer there. It doesn't have a limited slip diff on the front, but it does share the same front differential with the Polo, and it's good out of some roundabouts. Like you can be brave with the power and the acceleration. Yeah, even with steering lock, you can still be ambitious with the throttle, which is great, and that's what you want. The owner of this car said that turning off the traction control actually improves, or it makes the engine sound louder, so there might be something there. It's a really fun car, man. I'm having a lot of fun, and it's a beautiful day. I'm having a lot of fun.
The Ibiza Cupra only comes as a 3-door model. If you're looking for a fast 5-door Seat, the Leon Cupra and the Ibiza FR are available. The sloping roof of the Ibiza isn't ideal for passengers in the back, but you should fit comfortably if you're under 6 foot. The rear passenger windows are rather small, and this with the sloping roof creates quite a big blind spot. The boot can take 284 litres of storage, 4 more than the Polo GTI, but both have a lot less than the Renault Clio, which has 300 litres of boot storage. You even get a diffuser at the back, although it does look rather silly, as it's missing some of the diffuser elements on the right side. I imagine that's because of a tow hoop at the back, but it does look rather silly.
The seats are really comfy and supportive. You've got these nice chunks here to stop you moving about when you're cornering fast, not that you would be on the normal roads. I really like this white stripe you've got going on here, and you've got it here on the door as well. I don't know what you'd call them.
Accents.
Accents. I really like these white accents. It's a bit like a 20s streamlined American car, you know, they have like white trim, and yeah, it just looks kind of funky, but it's Spanish. It's a really nice leather steering wheel. It's sort of cut off on the bottom, so it's not perfectly rounded. Got a nice little Cupra badge here in the middle as well. The gear stick, it feels really good, and it's a VW gearbox, and you've got lots of buttons to, you know, play with your music and your phone settings on the wheel, so they're all there and easy accessible. There's lots of play there. There's not a lot of play in the wheel, as you can see, and it doesn't come towards you. The spongier plastic in the middle feels good, but up here on the top it is a lot cheaper. The infotainment screen, this one's got the smaller screen, but there is a 6.7 and they're touch screen, so you put your grubby fingers on and touch to your heart's desire. A really weird quirk though is there's an SD card slot right in the middle. Now, I don't ever remember anyone putting music or anything on an SD card to play in a car. I don't know, it's just a weird one, but it's there if you wanted to, and it's a funny quirk, I guess. I really like the air vents. In fact, whenever I've been in this car as a passenger, I always end up playing with the air vents, and it really annoys the owner, doesn't it? Does it?
Yeah.
Yes, it does. But I really like the air vents. They're simple and they're a nice design. I like them. Oh yeah, it does have a good turning circle. Impressive. It's still pretty fun in just normal mode. It's got poke. You do get pushed back into your seat, and they're nice seats to be pushed back into. And I love this wheel, like the wheel is grippy, and the rounded off bottom is to call it, adds that sporty look to it. This definitely feels like a more premium option than the Fiesta. So I definitely, if you're looking for something a bit more sophisticated, and I'd go for this over Fiesta any day. Whoa. In normal mode, the suspension is really comfy and it feels good over bumps, and yeah, it feels refined. There isn't a lot of wind noise. It's good. It's got some good sound deadening. Yeah, even the mirrors, which are quite big, they're not getting a lot of wind noise from them, even at 60, which I was doing a bit earlier. So that's impressive. They've obviously nailed the design. Maybe it's even been in a wind tunnel, who knows? At a T-junction, for instance, because of a sloping roof, there is a real blind spot if you want to turn over and look over your right shoulder, which isn't ideal, but it's a trait fairly. It's a 3-door hot batch. That's a 3-door hot hatch attribute, though, isn't it? Having rather poor visibility, but I'd say compared to like a Clio or something, this is definitely a bit worse. I'm not going to play any music because of copyright, but I can say that the speakers and the sound system in here is really good. There's plenty of play with the EQ for bass and trebles. Yeah, the long gears are really good for using that tool. Like, I haven't been revving it to the red line at all. I know it may sound like that, but I have been revving to about 5.5, so only just past the peak power. It just sounds really good. Apart from the lack of pops and cracks and whooshy noises. So this is in the same insurance group as my Golf. It's in insurance group 29. That's to be expected. But the road tax is about £150 each year, so it's half as much as my Golf. But again, this is a newer car, so that's why. It can do about 280 miles on a full tank, which isn't really very good, really, is it? No. When it first came out, it had a claimed average mile per gallon rating of 48 miles per gallon, and the computer is telling us that it's about 31.9. Cool. Which isn't actually too bad, I don't think. We're not exactly driving efficiently here, are we? It produces about 132 grams of CO2 per kilometre, so so it's better than quite a few SUVs, and it's pretty good for a sporty car, I have to say. So, the verdict. I really like this car. I think it's a really good first hot hatchback. I don't think I'd personally buy it just from a practicality point of view. If you remember from the start of the video, those second-hand prices, those were the maximum prices. So there's no reason why you couldn't get a Cupra for less than £10,000. It's got VW components, so it's gonna last. It will cost you if things go wrong, but it shouldn't do. And that sport button really does make this a usable, fun, hot hatchback to have. In normal mode, it's really comfortable. The suspension's good, but with the whack of a button, you can change this, and suddenly it's a different kind of machine. This is the first video review of a car that I don't actually own, so that means I need to give it a score. On my Motorthoughts blog, I gave the 2016 VW Golf GTI 8 out of 10, and the 2020 595 Abarth 7 out of 10. My score for the 2016 Ibiza Cupra is 7.5, bang in the middle. Yeah, I actually think I was a bit generous with the 595 Abarth, but I think 7.5 because there are some drawbacks. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Hopefully this was useful if you're thinking about buying your first hot hatchback. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give me a like and subscribe. I've been James Drujon, and you've been watching Motorthoughts. See you next time. Turned off traction, you've turned it off.
Yeah.
Nice.